The story I am about to tell you is not just a story, it is a warning. It is the kind of thing that makes you look at a man driving a G-Wagon and ask, is it God that blessed you, or did you steal your wife's glory? You see, in this life, there is wickedness, and then there is Kelvin. It begins on a Tuesday night in Victoria Island. You know the kind of place, where the waiters look at your shoes before they look at your face. The restaurant smells of expensive perfume, garlic butter, and arrogance. In the corner, at the most expensive table, sat Kelvin. Look at him. 36 years old, dark skin shining like polished mahogany. He was wearing a white agbada that was so crisp, so stiff, it looked like it was ironed by angels. On his wrist sat a Rolex that cost more than a plot of land in Mowe Ibafo. He looked like a king. He looked like a billionaire. But sitting opposite him was a woman who looked like his housemaid. This was Mercy, 32 years old, but looking 50. Her face was bare, no powder, no lipstick to hide the tiredness under her eyes. She wore an Ankara dress that had seen better days. The colors were fading, washing away just like her happiness. Her hands were rough, the nails cut short. She sat on the edge of the velvet chair as if she was afraid to dirty it. The waiter poured wine into Kelvin's glass, a vintage red. He didn't pour for Mercy. Mercy had a glass of water. Kelvin snapped his fingers. The sound cracked through the quiet room like a whip. "Music!" he commanded the violinist standing nearby. "Play something final." He reached into his Louis Vuitton bag. He didn't bring out a gift box. He didn't bring out jewelry. He brought out a fake brown envelope. Slap. He slid it across the table. It hit Mercy's water glass with a heavy thud. "Sign it," Kelvin said. His voice was not a whisper. It was loud. It was a voice that wanted the people at the next table, Senator Okonjo and his wife, to hear. Mercy looked at the envelope. Her hands began to shake. "Kelvin, is this it? Today is our 10th anniversary." Kelvin laughed, a cold, dry laugh. "Anniversary, woman? Look at you. Look at me." He gestured to his expensive clothes, then pointed a manicured finger at her faded dress. "We are not on the same frequency. I booked this entire VIP section not to celebrate a marriage that died 5 years ago. I booked it to celebrate my freedom. Trisha is waiting in the car outside. The engine is running." Mercy flinched as if he had slapped her. Trisha, the name that had been haunting her marriage like a ghost. "Sign this divorce," Kelvin continued, picking his teeth with a gold toothpick. "I have put 50,000 naira inside for your transport. Take it. Go back to your father's village. You are a liability, a weight. Sign it and vanish." The restaurant went silent. The violinist stopped playing. Even the waiters froze. Everyone was watching. Mercy looked down. Tears, heavy and hot, fell onto the white tablecloth. She didn't argue. She didn't scream. She was too tired to scream. She had been fighting for 5 years and she had no fight left. With a trembling hand, she picked up the pen. Scratch, scratch. She signed. "Good," Kelvin smacked, snatching the papers back. "Finally, I am a free man." But wait, God is a masterful director. He does not sleep. The moment the ink dried, Kelvin's phone sitting on the table buzzed. It vibrated so hard it rattled the wine glass. Kelvin smiled. "That must be Trisha. She's impatient." He picked up the phone. He unlocked it. The smile on his face didn't just fade. It vanished. It crumbled like a biscuit soaked in tea. His eyes widened, his mouth opened, but no sound came out. The text message on the screen read, "I saw the bank alert on your phone while you were inside. You transferred your life savings to pay off your debt. You are empty now, zero balance. Sorry, I don't do broke bachelor. I'm taking the car. Uber is on its way for you. Bye." "No!" Kelvin whispered. "No, no, no!" He scrambled up from the chair, knocking over his expensive wine. The red liquid stained his pristine white agbada, spreading like a gunshot wound. He didn't care. He ran to the window. Under the orange street lights of Victoria Island, he saw it, his G-Wagon, his pride and joy. It was peeling out of the parking lot, tires screeching, speeding into the Lagos night. "Trisha!" he screamed, banging his hands against the glass. "Trisha!" He turned back to the table, his face wild with panic, looking for someone to blame, looking for a way to fix it. He looked at Mercy. But the woman sitting there was different. The tears had stopped. Mercy was looking at the stain on his agbada. She was looking at the panic in his eyes. And for the first time in years, Mercy smiled. It was a small smile, a dangerous smile. The path to destruction. Hey, sorry to interrupt your listening for just a moment. If this story is speaking to you so far, I'd be really grateful if you'd subscribe and support the channel. It helps me keep creating more stories like this for you. Thank you. Before we enjoy this stew, we must pound the yam. You need to understand how a man can be this wicked. You need to understand that Kelvin did not fall from the sky like this. No, monsters are made one day at a time. Let me take you back. Let me show you the suffering that cooked this soup. Let me show you what Mercy endured before the silence broke. The air in the bedroom was cold, but it was not because of the air conditioner. It was the coldness of a marriage that had turned into a master and servant relationship. It was 11 p.m. Mercy had been in the kitchen since 6 p.m. She had pounded yams until her arms felt like lead. She had ground the melon for the egusi soup by hand because the blender was spoiled and Kelvin refused to release money to fix it. She carried the tray into the bedroom. The smell of the soup was rich: crayfish, stockfish, dried fish, the kind of aroma that makes a man rush home. Kelvin was lying on the bed, propped up by 4 pillows, wearing silk pajamas. He held his iPhone in front of his face. He was on a video call. Babe, I swear to you, Dubai is confirmed. First class, just you and me. I will buy you that Gucci bag you saw at the mall. Mercy stood at the door, the tray heavy in her hands. Her heart gave a painful squeeze. She had not bought a new dress in 2 years. Kelvin, she whispered, food is lady. Kelvin didn't look at her. He looked at the screen. Hold on, Trisha, let me handle this disturbance. He lowered the phone, but didn't hang up. He turned his eyes, cold, hard eyes, onto Mercy. Can't you see I am busy? Why do you barge in here like a goat? I brought your dinner, Mercy said, her voice shaking. You said you were hungry. Hungry? Kelvin scoffed. He sniffed the air and wrinkled his nose as in disgust. What is that smell? It smells like poverty. It smells local. I told you I wanted pasta, carbonara, like civilized people eat. We don't have pasta, Mercy said softly. We only have yam. Kelvin laughed, turning back to the phone. Trisha, can you imagine? I am dealing with a village woman here. The word hung in the air. Mercy felt the tears pricking her eyes. She was a first-class graduate of economics. She had written the proposal that got him his job at the bank. Now she was a village woman. Kelvin, please. Kelvin kicked out his leg. Bang! His foot struck the bottom of the tray. The plate of egusi soup flew into the air. It crashed onto the tiled floor. Yellow oil and chunks of fish splattered everywhere, on the white rug, on the wall, and all over Mercy's only good wrapper. On the phone screen, Trisha's voice rang out, a high-pitched tinkling laugh. Oh my God, Kelvin, you are so bad. Kelvin chuckled, joining in the laughter. Sorry about the noise, babe. Just domestic accidents. He looked at Mercy, who was standing there, soup dripping down her legs, trembling. Don't just stand there looking stupid, Kelvin spat. Clean it up. If I see one stain on this rug tomorrow, you will sleep on the balcony. Mercy fell to her knees, not to pray, but to wipe the floor. She used the hem of her wrapper to soak up the oil. She picked up the pieces of fish she had spent hours preparing. How did I get here? She thought. I was the one who taught him how to tie a tie. I was the one who prayed for him when he had no job. Now I am wiping soup from his floor while his mistress laughs? But what she didn't know was that this was only the beginning. The devil was just stretching his legs. The muddy water baptism. The sun in Lagos does not respect anybody, but on this day, it seemed to have a personal quarrel with Mercy. It was 12 p.m. The heat was rising from the tarmac like steam from a boiling pot. Mercy was walking because Kelvin had taken the spare key to the Toyota Corolla. He said she was using too much fuel to go to the market. He gave her 0 naira for transport. Exercise is good for you, he said before leaving for work. You are getting fat anyway. So Mercy walked. She carried 2 heavy bags of groceries, cheap tomatoes, frozen fish, and ingredients for the zobo she secretly sold to pay for her son's asthma inhalers. Her hands were rough, the nails cut short. She sat on the edge of the velvet chair as if she was afraid to dirty it. The rested gate. Just then, a low rumble was heard, a powerful engine. It was the black G-Wagon, Kelvin's car. Mercy's heart jumped. Maybe he had come back to give her a ride. Maybe he saw the sun and felt pity. The car approached the speed bump near the gate. Next to the bump was a large, dirty puddle of leftover water from last night's rain. It was black, muddy, and full of slime. Mercy stood by the side of the road, waiting for him to pass. She waved slightly, a reflex of a wife greeting her husband. The window in the G-Wagon rolled down. Kelvin was driving. In the passenger seat sat a woman with bone-straight hair and sunglasses big enough to cover her sins. Trisha. Kelvin saw Mercy. He saw the heavy bags. He saw the sweat. He didn't slow down.
Instead, he grinned. He shifted gears. He pressed the accelerator. The G-Wagon hit the puddle with force. A wave of black, smelly mud rose up like a tsunami and crashed over Mercy. It covered her face, it soaked her blouse, it splashed into the open bags of groceries, ruining the tomatoes. Mercy gasped, blinded by the dirty water. She dropped the bags. The car slowed down just enough for Kelvin to yell out the window. "Shower well!" he shouted, his voice echoing for the guards and passers-by to hear. "Maybe the water will wash away your poverty." Trisha squealed with laughter, clutching Kelvin's arm. "Baby, you are terrible." The car sped off, disappearing into the estate, leaving a cloud of dust to mix with the mud on Mercy's skin. The security guards stood with their mouths open. A group of women coming from the market stopped and stared. "Cha!" one woman exclaimed. "Is that not her husband? Wonder shall never end." Mercy couldn't see them through the mud in her eyes, but she could hear them. The shame burned hotter than the sun. She stood there, dripping, looking like a mad woman, staring at the ruined tomatoes in the mud. Money she had borrowed to start her business. Gone. She thought it couldn't get worse. She thought she had tasted the bottom of the pot. She was wrong. The banking hall disgrace. The banking hall was freezing cold and silent, the kind of silence that money demands. The floor was polished marble, reflecting the bright LED lights. Mercy stood in the queue. She looked out of place. She was wearing her Sunday best, but even her Sunday best had a small tear at the hem. She held her purse tight against her chest. Inside the purse were 5 bottles of Zobo. She wasn't there to beg. She was there to sell. She needed 4,000 naira urgently to buy Ventolin for Junior, their son. His chest had been whistling all night. She reached the counter. The teller, a young girl with too much makeup, looked at Mercy with suspicion. "Yes, how can I help you?" "Good afternoon," Mercy whispered. "Please, I want to see the branch manager, Mr. Kelvin." The girl looked Mercy up and down. "Do you have an appointment?" "I am his wife." The girl let out a short, rude laugh. "Ha! Wife! Madam, please step aside. We don't allow hawkers here." "I am telling you the truth." Mercy's voice rose slightly, desperate. "Please, just call him. Tell him Junior is sick." The commotion caught attention. People in the queue started murmuring. Why is this woman shouting? "Security, please." Suddenly, the glass door of the manager's office swung open. Kelvin stepped out, immaculate in a navy blue suit. He looked up and saw Mercy at the counter. His face turned red, not with embarrassment, but with rage. He stormed over, his expensive shoes clicking on the marble. "Security!" Kelvin roared. Mercy froze. 2 uniformed guards ran forward, batons ready. "Who let this beggar in here? I am trying to run a world-class financial institution here. Why is this thing disturbing my corporate image?" "Kelvin," Mercy stammered, tears welling up. "It's me. I just need money for the inhaler. The boy cannot breathe." "Lies!" Kelvin shouted. "She is a scammer. She comes here to beg money from my customers. Look at her. Does she look like my wife? Does a man like me marry a rag like this?" The crowd laughed. Some brought out their phones to record. "Drag her out," Kelvin ordered the guards. "Please, Kelvin, he is your son," Mercy cried as they pulled her. She struggled. In the struggle, her purse slipped from her grip. The purse hit the marble floor. The bottles of Zobo inside shattered. Dark red liquid exploded across the pristine white floor. It looked like blood. The banking hall gasped. Kelvin looked at the red stain with pure disgust. "Look at what you have done," he hissed. "You are a stain, just like that Zobo. Get out of my life." They threw her out the glass doors. She landed on the concrete steps, her knees scraping against the stone. If hell has a waiting room, it looks like the emergency ward of a Lagos General Hospital at 2 a.m. The night God moved. The smell was a mixture of old bleach, sickness, and rust. Mosquitoes buzzed in the dim yellow light. Mercy sat on the floor. There were no chairs left. In her arms lay Junior, her 4-year-old son. He was fighting for every breath. His small chest heaved up and down, wheeze, wheeze, like a broken accordion. "Mommy, I can't," he gasped. "Breathe, baby, breathe," Mercy whispered, rocking him. Tears were streaming from her face. The doctor had been clear. Acute asthma attack. We need to admit him and put him on oxygen immediately. Deposit is 30,000 naira. Medicine is 15,000 naira. 45,000 naira. Mercy had 1,500 naira. She had begged the nurse, "Please treat him first. I will pay. My husband is a banker." The nurse hissed, "Madam, no deposit, no treatment. Go and bring money." So Mercy sat on the floor, watching her son turn blue. She pulled out her phone. She had called Kelvin 20 times. No answer. She dialed again. Finally, he picked. The sound of loud, thumping Afrobeat music blasted through the phone. "Hello?" Kelvin's voice was slurred. He was drunk. "Kelvin!" Mercy screamed. "Kelvin, please! Junior is dying. We're at the hospital. They need money for oxygen. Please, send anything." There was a pause. She heard Trisha's voice in the background. "Baby, who is that? Is it the rag again?" Kelvin laughed. "Mercy, are you mad? Do you know what time it is?" "Kelvin, he cannot breathe. He's turning blue." "Stop using that boy to blackmail me," Kelvin shouted over the music. "Every day, sickness, sickness. I am tired. I am at a club with Trisha. We are celebrating life, not death." "Kelvin, please. He is your flesh and blood." Kelvin's voice turned cold, colder than the grave. "If he dies, we bury him. Do not call me again." The line went dead. Mercy stared at the phone. The words echoed in her skull. "If he dies, we bury him." She looked at her son. His eyes were rolling back. His breathing was getting shallower. Mercy broke. She didn't scream, she didn't shout, she just crumbled. She curled around her son on the dirty floor. "God," she whispered. Her voice was raw like sandpaper. "God of Elijah, are you there, or have you divorced me too? I don't want money. I don't want a car. I don't want revenge on Kelvin. I just want my son to breathe." She choked on a sob. "They say you are the husband to the widow and the father to the fatherless. Well, I am a widow now, and this boy has no father. If you are real, if you are not sleeping, please hear me." But what she didn't know was that the same God she was crying to had already moved. Across the waiting room, in the shadows of the corner, a man was watching. He had been there for an hour, sitting quietly by his mother's bedside. He had seen the nurse refuse her. He had seen the woman begging on the phone. He had heard the cruel voice on the other end. He stood up. He adjusted his glasses. He walked toward the woman on the floor. "My people, have you ever seen how God works? He does not wear a watch clock, but he is never late." Mercy was still on the floor when she saw a pair of black leather shoes stop in front of her. She looked up. Standing there was a man in his late 50s with grey hair cut low and glasses perched on a nose that had seen many balance sheets. He held a bottle of water. "Excuse me," the man said. His voice was deep, calm, like the ocean floor. "Are you not Mercy? Mercy Adeyemi?" Mercy blinked, confused. Adeyemi was her maiden name. Nobody had called her that in 5 years. "Who are you, sir?" she stammered. "I don't have money." The man didn't leave. He knelt on the dirty hospital tiles next to her. "I am not asking for money," he said gently.
I have been looking for you." "Looking for me? Why?" The man stood up and walked over to the nurse's station. "Nurse," he said. He didn't shout, but his voice carried authority. The nurse looked up, annoyed. "Oga, visiting hours are—" She stopped. She looked at the ID card hanging around his neck. Her eyes went wide. She jumped up. "Sir, good evening, sir." The man pointed at Mercy on the floor. "Why is that child not on oxygen?" "Sir, the deposit, she didn't have the—" "Put the boy on oxygen, now. Move him to the private ward, room 302. Bill everything to me." The nurse scrambled. "Yes, sir, immediately, sir." Mercy was stunned. "Sir, who are you?" The man adjusted his glasses. "My name is Babatunde Koka. I am the CEO of Zenith Bank, the bank where your husband works." Mercy gasped. This was Kelvin's big boss. "Sit, Mercy," he said after Junior was settled in the private ward, breathing peacefully with oxygen. "I was at the Lekki branch yesterday. I was in the security room reviewing audit tapes. I saw everything." Mercy looked down, shame flooding her face. "I'm sorry, sir. I caused a scene." "No," Moka said sharply. "You did not embarrass the bank. The bank embarrassed you." He leaned forward. "And Mercy, there is something you don't know. Do you remember 5 years ago? You were an intern at the head office." "Yes, sir. I was in the strategy department." "There was a discrepancy in the oil and gas accounts. Millions were missing, but a shy intern found it. She stayed up 3 nights tracing the funds, and she wrote a report that saved the bank 500 million naira. Mercy's eyes widened. I remember. I gave the report to Kelvin to submit. He was my supervisor." "Yes," Koka nodded grimly. "He submitted it, but he put his name on it. That report got him his first promotion. It got him the branch manager's seat." Mercy covered her mouth. "He told me the board rejected my report. He said it was poorly written." "He lied," Koka said, his voice hard as stone. "For 5 years, I have watched Kelvin rise. His strategy papers are brilliant, always detailed, always insightful. But when I speak to him in meetings, he is shallow. He stammers. I always suspected he had a ghostwriter. Tonight, when I saw you, I realized the ghost was his wife." Mercy slumped back. All those nights, Kelvin forced her to write his presentations while he played FIFA. He had stolen her career to build his own. "I am a man who values integrity above profit," Koka said, standing up. "I do not tolerate men who climb ladders built on the backs of women. Kelvin thinks he is untouchable." He looked at Mercy. "But I need you to trust me, Mercy. Can you do that?" Mercy looked at her sleeping son. She thought of Kelvin laughing in the club with Trisha. She wiped her eyes. This time, her hand didn't tremble. "Yes, sir," she said. "I trust you." Koka smiled. It was a smile that promised thunder. "Good, because we are going to make them pay. Publicly. The trap is set." The plan did not start with guns or police. It started with paper. Mr. Koka called in his head of internal audit, Mrs. Ibe, a small woman who had eyes like a hawk and a heart made of filing cabinets. "I want everything," Koka told her. "Go through the Lekki branch account, check every transaction linked to Trisha, check his expense account, check the loan approvals." Mrs. Ibe went to work. Mercy sat in the corner of the office, watching the evidence pile up. Item 1, a transfer of 5 million naira, labeled client consultation, sent to an account named Patricia Gold. Item 2, the marketing budget for the quarter, 12 million naira, used to pay for a 2022 Mercedes-Benz, Trisha's car. Item 3, the Dubai tickets, first class Emirates, paid for from the account of a deceased customer whose family hadn't claimed the funds yet. "He is not just a bad husband," Mrs. Ibe said in disgust. "He is a thief, a sloppy thief." "He got arrogant," Koka said. "He thought his wife was too weak to expose him." He pressed a button on his laptop. The CCTV footage from the banking hall played. Mercy flinched as she watched herself being dragged across the floor. "It is painful to watch, I know," Koka said gently, "but this video is our weapon, and we have the voice recording from the hospital call. So, we go to the police now? Mercy asked. No. Coca shook his head. Not yet. If we arrest him now, it will be a quiet affair. He will bribe his way to a light sentence. He walked to the window. This Saturday is the bank's annual gala night at Echo Hotel. Every major shareholder will be there. The press will be there. Kelvin expects to be named regional director. He turned back to Mercy. I need you to be there too, Mercy. Mercy's stomach dropped. Me, sir? I cannot. He will kill me, and I don't have clothes. You will not go as his wife, Coca said firmly. You will go as my guest of honor. You will sit at the high table, and when the time comes, you will speak. Mercy trembled. I am scared, sir. Coca walked over and placed a hand on her shoulder. This time, you won't be alone. This time, you have the receipts, and this time, you have the microphone. He handed her an envelope. Go to this address tomorrow. My wife is expecting you. She will handle your wardrobe, not to make you look like a slay queen, no, to make you look like a CEO. Across town, Kelvin stood in front of his mirror, admiring his reflection in his custom-made velvet tuxedo. It cost 800,000 naira. Regional director, he whispered to himself, practicing his winning smile. Trisha was on the bed, painting her toenails. Babe, hope you told the organizers that I'm sitting next to you. Don't worry, Kelvin laughed, spraying expensive cologne. You are the queen of the night. Everyone knows I have upgraded. That rag Mercy is probably selling pure water under the bridge by now. Good riddance, Trisha sneered. I hope she doesn't show up to beg for leftover rice. They both laughed, a cruel, hollow sound. He had no idea that the ground beneath his feet was already crumbling. In the quiet guest wing of Mr. Coca's mansion in Ikoyi on Island, Mercy could not sleep. She stood by the window, looking at the moon. Her son was safe in the next room, breathing easily. On the bed lay a dress. It was emerald green, modest, elegant, regal. It was the kind of dress a woman wears when she has nothing left to prove and everything to claim. She remembered the mud on her face at the estate gate. She remembered the red zobo on the bank floor. She remembered, if he dies, we bury him. She knelt down beside the bed, but this time she did not cry. Lord, she whispered, tomorrow I enter the lion's den. You close the mouth of the lions for Daniel. Please hold the microphone for me. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mr. Coca. Rest well, Mercy. The trap is set. The evidence is loaded. Tomorrow the world will see the difference between gold and glitter. Mercy took a deep breath. She turned off the light. Saturday morning was coming. The stage was set, and Kelvin, the man who thought he was a god, was about to learn that even giants fall when God sweeps their legs. The gala night. My people, if you have never been to the annual Bankers Gala at Echo Hotel, let me describe it for you. It is not just a party, it is a display of oppression. The chandeliers were hanging from the ceiling like diamonds dripping from the sky. The smell was a mixture of expensive cologne, fried prawns, and old money. And there, sitting like a peacock that just won a lottery, was Kelvin. He wore his blue velvet tuxedo. On his arm was Trisha, dressed in a gold sequined gown that sparkled so much it could blind a pilot. Regional director, Kelvin whispered to her, clinking his glass. Tonight, everything changes. We will move from Lekki to Ikoyi. But at the back of the hall, near the shadows, sat a woman nobody recognized. She wore an emerald green dress that flowed like water. Her hair was pulled back in a sleek, elegant bun. Beside her sat Mr. Coca, the CEO. Kelvin, scanning the room with his arrogant eyes, didn't see her at first. He was too busy waving at the commissioners. Ladies and gentlemen, the MC's voice boomed. Shall we welcome the man of the hour, the star of the Lekki branch, Mr. Kelvin Okoro? Applause erupted. Kelvin stood up. He buttoned his jacket. He kissed Trisha on the cheek. He walked to the stage, bathing in the spotlight. He felt like a god. Ah, Kelvin, look at him. He thinks he is walking to his throne. He does not know he is walking to the gallows. Kelvin gripped the microphone. He flashed his white teeth to the cameras. Thank you, he beamed. You know, they say behind every successful man is a lot of hard work. The crowd laughed. Trisha clapped harder than anyone. I am humbled. Kelvin continued. This promotion to regional director is not just for me. It is for... He paused. His eyes swept across the room. And then he saw her. At the CEO table, in the emerald green dress. Kelvin blinked. He squinted. Is that? No, it cannot be. But the face was unmistakable. It was messy, but not the messy of the muddy water. This messy looked expensive. She looked peaceful. Kelvin's brain circuit shot. Anger flooded his veins. What is she doing here? Is she here to beg? He forgot the speech. He forgot the cameras. The arrogance took over. Excuse me, Kelvin said into the microphone, his tone shifting from pleasant to sharp. Security. The room went quiet. Kelvin pointed a finger straight at Mercy. I am sorry to disrupt this beautiful evening, Kelvin announced, but there is an imposter in the hall. That woman sitting there, yes, the one in green, she is a stalker. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Heads turned. Mercy didn't move. She just looked at him. She is my bitter ex-wife, Kelvin continued, gaining confidence. She refused to sign the divorce papers because she wants to cling to my success. She is mentally unstable. She has been following me around begging for money. Trisha stood up at her table shouting, "Get her out, she is dangerous." Please, Kelvin said, putting on a face of fake concern, can security kindly escort her out before she causes a scene? This event is for achievers, not for liabilities. The crowd murmured. 2 security guards started walking towards Mercy. Kelvin smirked. Got you. But just as the guards reached the table, Mr. Coker stood up. He didn't shout. He just raised one hand. The guards froze. Mr. Coker picked up a microphone. He looked at Kelvin on the stage. Kelvin, Mr. Coker's voice was calm, but it carried the weight of a judge's gavel. You say she is a liability? Sir, Kelvin stammered. Yes, sir, she is just a... You say she is mentally unstable? Sir, You say she is begging for your money? Yes, sir, she is broke. Coker nodded slowly. I see. Well, before we remove her, I think there is a video the board of directors would like to share with the audience. It is part of your performance review. Kelvin frowned. Performance review? Now? Technical team, Coker said. Play the file. Behind Kelvin, the massive 4K LED screen flickered black. Then a grainy video appeared. The timestamp showed Tuesday, 2:15 p.m. The audio boomed through the speakers. On screen, Kelvin screaming, his face twisted in rage. Security, who let this beggar in here? She's disturbing my corporate image.
The crowd watched in horror as the video showed Mercy pleading, showing the guards dragging her, showing the purse falling and the red zobo spilling like blood. Drag her out. Maybe the rain will wash away her poverty. The silence in the ballroom was deafening. You could hear a pin drop. Kelvin turned around, staring at the screen, his mouth open. No, that is out of context. The screen changed. Now it was a document, a bank statement, highlighted in neon yellow. Client account 200459912. Deceased estate. Transfer to Trisha Auto Sales, 15 million naira. Narration, consultancy fees. Another slide. Marketing budget, 4 million naira. Transfer to Emirates Airlines, 2 tickets, Dubai. Gasps turned into shock. People started pointing. He stole? That is client money. Kelvin was sweating now, rivers of sweat running down his velvet tuxedo. Wait, I can explain. It's an error. My account officer made a mistake. The screen changed again. The screen went black. Only audio this time. The sound of heavy club music. A woman screaming, Kelvin, Junior is dying. He cannot breathe. Kelvin's voice, clear as day. Stop using that boy to blackmail me. I am at a club with Trisha. Mercy, he's your flesh and blood. Kelvin, if he dies, we bury him. Do not call me again. Boom. That sentence hit the room like a bomb. If he dies, we bury him.
A woman in the front row covered her mouth and started crying. A man stood up and slammed his glass on the table. "Jesus!" someone shouted. Kelvin backed away from the microphone as if it was burning him. He looked at the crowd. The admiration was gone. The applause was gone. In its place was pure, unadulterated disgust. Mr. Coker spoke again. "We build wealth, Kelvin, but we do not bankroll wickedness." He turned to Mercy. "Mercy, my daughter, would you like to speak?" Mercy stood up. She didn't need to shout. The room was so quiet that her soft voice carried to every corner. "I cooked his food," she said, her voice shaking slightly but gaining strength. "I ironed his clothes. I wrote the strategy papers that got him this promotion. I sold Zobo in the market to buy asthma medicine because he spent our savings on..." She looked at Trisha. "On her." Mercy took a deep breath. "He called me a liability, but a liability takes. I only gave. I am not a liability, Kelvin. I was your ladder, and you just broke it." The spell broke. The crowd turned. "Thief!" someone shouted from the back. "Wicked man! Ole! Barawo!" Phones were out. Flashlights were popping. Kelvin was trending on Twitter before he even left the stage. Kelvin looked at Trisha. His lifeline. His trophy. "Babe," he pleaded, reaching out a hand. "Babe, tell them it's a lie. Tell them you didn't know." Trisha looked at the screen. She saw the evidence of the fraud. She saw the police officers walking in through the back doors. She did the math in her head. No job equals no money. Prison equals no Dubai. Association with him equals brand suicide. Trisha stood up, her face twisted into a mask of outrage. "I didn't know!" she screamed, her voice shrill. "I am a victim. He told me he was single. He told me he was a crypto investor. He told me the wife was dead." "Trisha," Kelvin gasped. "What are you saying?" "Don't call my name," Trisha yelled. "I cannot date a thief. You are disgusting." And then, for the grand finale, Trisha did what Trisha does best. She made a scene. She walked up to the edge of the stage, and as Kelvin reached for her, she slapped him. It was a slap that echoed in the spirit realm. It was a slap for Mercy, a slap for the Zobo, a slap for the muddy water. "And I am taking the car," she hissed. "Consider it damages for wasting my time." She turned and stormed out of the hall, her gold dress shimmering, leaving Kelvin holding his cheek, alone on the stage. The police commissioner himself walked onto the stage. He didn't smile. He brought out a pair of handcuffs. They were cold, silver, and very real. "Kelvin Okoro," the commissioner said, "you are under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, and misappropriation of funds." Kelvin looked at the handcuffs. He looked at the crowd. He looked at Mr. Coker. "Sir, please," he begged, tears mixing with the sweat. "It's a mistake. I am the regional director. I have potential. Don't ruin me." Mr. Coker walked up to the stage. He looked Kelvin in the eye. "You ruined yourself, Kelvin," he said. "You thought you were a big man because you could bully a woman, but you forgot the most basic law of banking." "What?" Kelvin sobbed as the cuffs clicked shut. "You cannot withdraw what you did not deposit," Coker said coldly. "You deposited cruelty. Now withdraw your disgrace." The officers dragged him away. He wasn't walking like a king anymore. He was dragging his feet. His velvet tuxedo was rumpled. He was crying like a baby. As they dragged him past the tables, the crowd parted like the Red Sea. Nobody wanted to touch him. And then he saw her. Mercy was standing near the exit. The helper, Mr. Coker, was beside her. Kelvin stopped struggling for a second. He looked at her. "Mercy, Mercy," he whispered. Mercy looked at him. There was no hate in her eyes, only pity. The kind of pity you feel for a dog that has bitten its own tail. She didn't curse him. She didn't spit on him. She simply turned her back. "Let's go, sir," she said to Mr. Coker. "My son is waiting." She walked out of the hall, her head high, her emerald dress catching the light. She walked out into the cool night air of Victoria Island.
Behind her, the sound of Kelvin crying faded away, drowned out by the murmur of 1,000 witnesses. Narrator. And that, my people, is how the wind blew. Kelvin went to prison. He became the houseboy for a cell boss, washing toilets just like he made Mercy wash the floor. Trisha, the car was seized by the bank the next day. She's currently on TikTok claiming she is a survivor of emotional manipulation. And Mercy? Mercy is the new head of community banking strategy at Zenith Bank. She drives a Prado. Her son attends a British international school. So, the next time you see a man mistreating his wife because he thinks he has arrived, tap him on the shoulder. Tell him the story of Kelvin. Tell him that God is the ultimate referee and he does not need VAR to award a penalty against the wicked. Time is a healer, but money is a very good bandage. 6 months later, if you saw Mercy on the road, you would not recognize her. She stood in front of a mirror in her bedroom. Not a boys' quarters, not a guest room, her bedroom. It was in a lovely 3-bedroom apartment in a serene estate in Ikeja GRA. The walls were painted a soft cream. The curtains were thick and expensive. The air conditioner hummed a quiet lullaby of prosperity. She smoothed down her skirt suit. It was navy blue, tailored to fit perfectly. She looked at her reflection. The hollow cheeks were gone, filled up with good food and peace of mind. The rough hands were now soft, but the biggest change was in her eyes. The fear was gone. The haunted look was gone. In its place was a quiet, steady confidence. She walked to the kitchen. It smelled of pancakes and sausages. "Junior, hurry up or you'll be late for school," she called out. Junior ran in, buttoning his shirt. His school uniform was crisp, British International School. He wasn't wheezing, he wasn't coughing. His asthma attacks had stopped the moment the stress left their lives. "Mommy, are we going in the big car?" he asked, grabbing a piece of sausage. "Yes, the big car," Mercy laughed. They walked outside. Parked in the driveway was a shiny silver Toyota Prado, an official car. Mercy was no longer Kelvin's wife. She was the head of community banking strategy at Zenith Bank. She had her own team. She had her own budget. She was implementing the very ideas Kelvin had suppressed for years, and the bank was making millions from them. She buckled Junior into the back seat. She sat in the driver's seat and gripped the leather steering wheel. She remembered the day she trekked in the sun. She remembered the mud splashing her face. She started the engine. The AC blasted cool air. "Thank you, Jesus," Mercy whispered, not a loud prayer, just a breath. She drove out of the gate. The security guard, a respectful man in a neat uniform, saluted her. "Good morning, madam," she waved, slipping him a generous tip. She drove past a construction site on her way to drop Junior off. She saw men working in the sun, mixing cement, carrying blocks. She slowed down to let a truck pass. She didn't look down on them. She looked at them with respect. She knew what it meant to suffer, and she promised herself, as she did every morning, that she would never forget where she came from. This is what restoration looks like. It is not just about the car or the house. It is about the ability to breathe. It is about waking up and not being afraid of the day.
And what of Kelvin, the big boy, the regional director? My people, the law of gravity is strict. What goes up must come down. But for Kelvin, he didn't just come down, he crashed. He was sentenced to 5 years for fraud and embezzlement. But prison is not just about time, it is about hierarchy. In his cell, Kelvin was not a boss, he was the boy. He was currently on his knees, scrubbing the toilet with a piece of foam. "Make it shine," the cell boss, a burly man named Chairman, shouted, kicking Kelvin's leg. "If I see one stain, no food for you today." "Yes, Chairman," Kelvin mumbled, dipping his hands into the dirty water. His hands, once manicured and soft, were covered in sores. His head was shaved. He had lost weight. He thought about the G-Wagon. He thought about the VIP section. He thought about Mercy. He remembered how he used to make her clean the floor while he laughed. Now the floor was his world. And Trisha, she tried to rebrand as a life coach on Instagram. But the internet never forgets. Every time she posted, the comment section was full of drag. Is this not the car thief? Madam, where is the G-Wagon? She eventually deleted her account. Last heard, she was squatting with a friend in a one-room apartment in the mainland, selling bleaching cream to survive. The wind had blown. The fowl's rump was exposed, and it was very, very ugly. The lessons. This story is not just for entertainment. It is a mirror. Lesson number 1. A woman is a multiplier. You saw what happened. Mercy was the brain behind Kelvin's success. He treated her like trash and he lost his value. He thought she was a liability, but she was his biggest asset. Whatever you give a woman, she multiplies. Give her groceries, she gives you a meal. Give her a house, she gives you a home. Give her frustration, she gives you hell. But treat her like a queen and she will build you a kingdom. Kelvin broke his multiplier and his equation turned to 0. Lesson number 2. God does not need VAR. Kelvin thought he was smart. He thought because nobody saw him in the bedroom, nobody knew his wickedness. But God is the ultimate referee. He sees everything. He doesn't need video replay. He doesn't need a committee. When he blows the whistle, the game is over. You might be suffering now. You might think nobody sees your tears. But hold on. The referee is checking the time. Your penalty kick is coming. Lesson number 3. Silence is a weapon. Notice that Mercy didn't fight dirty. She didn't go to Trisha's house to fight. She didn't post subtweets. She kept her dignity. She let her success make the noise. Sometimes the best revenge is not to shout. The best revenge is to succeed. The best revenge is to be happy. Let them watch you rise while they are still trying to pull you down. Lesson number 4. No condition is permanent. The same Mercy who was dragged out of the bank by security is now a boss in that same bank. The same Kelvin who ordered the security is now being ordered by prisoners. Do not look down on anybody. The person you call useless today might be the person signing your paycheck tomorrow. Be humble. Life is a revolving door. So, my brothers and sisters, I have a question for you. Have you ever been treated like Mercy? Have you ever felt like your goodness was being repaid with evil? I want you to tell me in the comments. Where are you watching from? Has anyone ever tried to bury you not knowing you were a seed? If this story touched your spirit, if it gave you hope, please share it. Share it for that woman crying in her marriage. Share it for that man who is about to make a mistake. Share it to remind the world that wickedness has an expiration date. And if you are new here, subscribe. Join our community. We tell stories of truth, of justice, and of hope. Let me pray for you as we go. May the God of mercy locate you. Any power waiting to humiliate you publicly, may God disgrace them publicly. May your tears turn to testimony. May your zobo turn into champagne. And may those who left you to die live long enough to see you fly. Thank you for listening.